Good morning, everybody. And it is morning, and I'm still unemployed. But things I've done through my whole life is probably going to get me through this unemployment, at least till I get to the dying Social Security program. What am I talking to you about today? I got two things I want to talk to you about, and I don't know which one to do. I'm going to do this one because this one will lead to the second one. In our Constitution, it says, of the people, by the people, for the people. Our forefathers, when they wrote the Constitution, realized exactly what they're doing. And then when I explain to you how the income tax amendment is illegal, you'll understand that even more. But that term, of the people, by the people, for the people, that is where you, the individual, gets the power. Our Constitution says we, the individual, run the country, not Congress. Today, our Congress is no different than what the Soviet Union had for their Congress. They had a Congress, and what happened is the Soviet parties would elect candidates, and then those candidates would go out and run for the positions. That may sound very similar to you. You might remember the Democrat Party and the Republican Party selected candidates. And then they went out and run. And because of the failure of the American news media, the only candidates that were covered were those two candidates. So basically, we have a socialist government right now if we don't grab the Constitution and say stop. Because they get to choose how this country goes. Our news had enabled us to have a communist type of government. Two political parties picked their candidate, and we all know that the Republican candidate was a failure from the start. I'm sorry, McCain was no leader, and he demonstrated it when he said, I knew about these economic problems 5 years ago, but yet he could do nothing about it. That tells you, I am not a leader, so make me the president. Plain and simple. At least Obama has demonstrated some leadership. Maybe it may not be what we want, but that's the only choices we had according to the news, but that's not true. So, what happens now? Of the people, by the people, for the people. You. Do you realize you can recall any congressman that you're not happy with via your state legislation? Do you know you can recall any senator via your state legislation? You can go to your states and demand a vote of confidence for any congressman or senator, and they have to come back and rerun. And while they're running, they have to say why the vote of confidence is being done. That's of the people, by the people, for the people. You individuals, you people in Minnesota who are crying about your state senator being so bad, you can go to your state legislator and say, we want to recall her for a vote of confidence. We don't like how she represents our state. They are to represent you, not any special interest group. Each and every one of you individual states, every one of those congressmen from your states, every one of those senators from those states are to represent you and you alone. And out of that, our government runs. And when it doesn't happen, of the people, by the people, for the people, take over. That's why that's written in there. Our government is of us, the individuals. And it's ran by us, the individuals. And it's for us, the individuals. No political party, no special interest groups, no lobbyists. Of the people, by the people, for the people. And when you feel, as you do today, that our government, Congress, is not doing the job, you have the right, you have the authority, and above all else, you have the obligation, via or by the Constitution, to call that individual back. Think about that. Our government, our forefathers put those words in there for a reason. They didn't say of Congress elected by the people, of Congress selected by a party, of Congress for the special interest groups. Did they? Or did they say of the people, by the people, for the people? And why did they do that? You'll have to get to colonial history for that. Do you realize that in the Parliament there were American delegations there that represented the colonies? They didn't have a vote, but they were like lobbyists for the colonies. But that did not represent the colonies. Just like today, those special interest groups do not represent the people. The Democrat Party and the Republican Party doesn't represent the people. We have more of quote unquote a communist government than any country in the world right now. Because one, two political parties selected the candidates, and two, our news media only covered those two candidates. I wish the Fair Act was enacted, because our news did a great injustice to this country. Our news lied to the people and kept information from them. That is why we got a government we do not want. You, the American people, need to realize and understand what of the people, by the people, for the people means. It means of you, the individual, by you, the individual, for you, the individual. And at any time Congress does not consider, whenever they pass laws, of the people, is this of the people? Is this by the people? And is this for the people? Then they're not doing their job. And you, the American people, have the responsibility and the obligation to go to your Senate legislation and remove those people from government. The power lies, in according to the Constitution, in your hands, not Congress. Even the most powerful political body in the world is our Congress, and the most powerful political figure is the Speaker of the House, not the President. The real power lies in the individual when you exercise the obligations required of you from the Constitution. Our Constitution requires us, and unless we do our job, our government will not ever be of the people, by the people, or for the people. And that's something you out there all have to remember. And Congress doesn't give it up easy. If you think they do, look at the Vietnam era. There's where the people, of the people, by the people, went straight against Congress. Because remember, only Congress can wage war, not the President. Thank you. Have a nice day. And it's your obligation to ensure that our government is of the people, by the people, for the people, in accordance to what is stated by the Constitution. Thank you.